If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today. If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.
North of San Marino in Florence lies one of the best racing venues Italy has ever had to offer, named after some true Italian motorsport greats. Drivers in all 4 production car challenge classes have to battle the ever-difficult Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari this week, and tonight is just the beginning. Welcome to Pitstop TV and the virtual Imola, Italy. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV and Zach Burtis joining me on the mic this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of SimLab Production Car Challenge. Our coverage, of course, is brought to you by Barber Ford, Whiplash SimCams, and CC's Business. And Zach, it is great to have you back. I am not the lone voice of the series this week as we head to one of the best racetracks on the schedule. Imola is such a cool place to race. It has so much to offer for any kind of car that visits, and it has some of the best scenes in all of motorsport. Let's take a look at our track info and our track map this evening. We have a mix of lap times to offer on the track map this time around. We have some Formula 1 laps. We have GTP or Le Mans Hypercar. We have LMP2 and LMP3. We also have the Renault Clio on there, and the Ford Mustang is just a couple of seconds faster, just dipping into the 159s for lap records, and Fabian Zweyer is right on that lap record, Zach, a 159.6. I'm gonna have to refer back to lap records here in a moment to check and see if that's close. It's gonna be in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Imola is always a great track to come to. There's a lot of great, great passing opportunities at this track, a lot of great corners to really take advantage of what these cars have to offer, especially with these front-wheel drive cars. The Renault Clios, actually. The Renault Clios are front-wheel drive, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, now that I am confirmed on that knowledge, I know that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these cars to really have some passing points, especially with, all the other classes they have on track. They have to navigate and stay around, and, I'm excited to see how these Fords are going to perform. They've always had some great racing so far this season, and I think, with this track being the second to last on the calendar, it's going to produce a lot of great racing for this championship.
You mentioned the calendar, we'll get there. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about it now. We are right at the end of 2023 season number 4. We began back at Oulton Park in September, through Japan at Suzuka and Okayama, then out to Great Britain for Silverstone, down to Belgium for Spa, back over to the States, well actually to the States for the first time that's for the season at VIR on October 16th. Then it was back out to the UK for Silverstone, all the way across to California for Willow Springs, back over to Germany for Nürburgring. We've done a lot of pond hopping at this point. Summit Point last week in West Virginia, now back across the pond in Italy. And next week, we head out to Australia at the Oran Park Raceway, a free track on iRacing.com these days. Such a cool place to go racing as well. It's going to be difficult, though, with 4 classes on track. That is going to be a challenging one for sure. Let's take a look at point standings coming into tonight. Just a few seconds left in qualifying. Benjamin Roberts leads the way, of course, in standings. That is no surprise. However, down in Renault, points. That is where things get interesting. Marcus Girac, I'm not sure which, has lost only 1 race this season. Jack Johns has won all 8 that he's run, and they are just 8 points apart. Talk about 2 completely different seasons, but they have almost the same win percentage, and they're almost at the same amount of points when you start to figure in these drop weeks. We are up to 2 drop weeks being figured in. These guys will count 8 weeks of racing. iRacing automatically counts 8 weeks for these point standings, and that's how close these guys are getting. Yeah,
it's going to be crazy to see how this points battle comes down to play, especially with, the 8-6 and the Mazdas here. It's a little bit more spread out, but there's still a lot of open opportunity for week 11, and which, starts tonight here with Imola, and then next week with Oran Park. So you can still turn some laps, turn some races, and see what you can get, but you also got to factor in your drop weeks. There might be, 1 week where you did really poorly, and this week you're doing really great, but you might have to factor in those drop weeks, and someone might have done better than you in their drop weeks than you did, so just make sure keeping that in mind, especially with, moving forward into tonight's race.
Week number 11 is upon us. Let's take a look through our grid. Bottom of your screen, it's going to scroll on by. The important bit is that Fabian Zweyer and Kevin Parrish are your front row, as you would expect, without Benjamin Roberts in attendance. And that is going to shake things up for sure. For the overall win, I think we're going to see one of the best battles we've seen all season, just because the guy who gaps the rest isn't here. And that's different. That is odd. Not what I expected at all. I will say, I thought we were going to have Dustin Slider in this. Oh, yes. Okay, we will see him. He's going to be starting from, it looks like 7th in the Mustang field. And of course, this grid that is rolling by the bottom of the screen, this is overall qualifying time. This isn't exactly how these drivers will line up. They will line up by class, the Ford being the fastest, the Renault being next fastest, and starting 2nd in the lineup. Austin Knight takes pole in Renault's. Then the Toyota GR86 field will line up. Daniel McConnell, pole time there. Ray Lombardi will take pole in Mazda's, and they will line up at the rear of the field. But Zach, 30 cars in all. This is going to be a fun one. Weather conditions, top of the screen.
There's so many great drivers throughout the rest of this field, and as Andrew put it already, these drivers are spread out based on their best qualifying time, so you may see that there are Mustangs who are starting up towards the front that maybe didn't even qualify. They have to start with their class. They have to all stay together because, you know, the pace difference. You don't but the weather today, you know, air temp 80 degrees, track temp 83 degrees, not too big of a difference, to be perfectly honest. Usually I thought, you know, we would see a little more track temp here today, but relatively cool compared to a lot of races that we've seen before. So interesting to see how much grip these cars are going to have, how much they're going to be able to slide around on the track. But then again, you know, this should be a really good race.
Well, I do believe that we are in the morning hours in sim, giving us the temperatures that we have on track. Fabian Zweyer, Kevin Parrish already coming around the final couple of corners, and we're going to get this race underway. This is week number 11 coming to you live on Pit Stop TV. Thanks for joining us, and a thank you to Barber Ford for having us. Coming up to the Not-So-Geico restart zone, everybody packing up. The Renaults on the back end of the Mustangs, coming around the front stretch slowly but surely. Fabian Zweyer, pole sitter this evening, waiting some more, waiting all the way down this long front stretch. Are they ever going to go green? There we go, green flag. That was a little bit anticlimactic. Look at the Toyotas. We've got 3, 4 wide down the front stretch, and they're all headed to one of the most tricky parts of the racetrack. The Mustangs get on through, the Renaults follow.
Yeah, the Renaults still very close together. About 3 of them back there hanging tough with the Mustangs. Here you see the Toyota 86s. They are all spread out, and there are the Mazdas taking the green flag. Look at them, they're bump drafting down the front straightaway.
They are beating their doors off already, and they just took the green flag officially. This is going to be messy when they get down to the first couple of corners. Tamburello is always a challenge. 3 wide, that's not going to work. But it does somehow. Oh, there it is, crashing.
2 cars off in the gravel trap.
Austin Bain, Darren Kilby, the 2 slow at the back end of all of that. Up in Mustangs, though, a couple of drivers getting sorted out in the back. David Fernandez and Dustin Slider have all sorts of damage. The Barber Ford man himself, Dustin Slider, that's not going to work. There goes his right front. Drama to get started. David Fernandez, the other Mustang driver in all of that, he's barely got a left front. Nicholas Sudik gets by all of that and will lead our Toyotas now as he's taken the top spot from Daniel McConnell. And I wonder how that Mustang incident happened. The Renaults don't look to be involved. That's good news. It must have been 2 cars, just Fernandez and Slider involved. I don't see anybody else.
Well, I was not even aware that the Mustangs actually had the new updated damage model that's been coming to the iRacing service. So to see that right front tire pop off, that was, my goodness.
1 lap will go complete this time by, and everybody will be able to kind of take stock of where they're at. We do have the wrong ticker up. There we go. That's the right ticker. Here comes the field around the bend and completing lap number 1 finally. That start-finish line is way down the front stretch. That's not where I expected that to be at all. There go the Renaults. And David Fernandez will take to the pit lane, as you might expect.
Yeah, with all that front-end damage, it would be not the smartest decision to stay out on the racetrack, losing a lot of pace. But it looks like he's just going to take a faster pair, and Fernandez is heading back out on the track to see what he can regain from whatever happened to him on lap 1.
And Cam Porter was also involved, so I wonder... Or it also has damage, so I wonder if Cam was also involved. Slider, of course, all that damage. I don't know where this happened. So this is through... Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Slider got loose all on his own, and that was through Tosa, the hairpin at turn 7.
just an unfortunate circumstance. Looks like he might have just gotten on the power a little too soon, and car snapped around on him.
On board with Dustin Slider. Hasn't run in a couple of weeks, at least this time slot anyways. Gets loose there, just had a lot of wheel crank into it when he got back to throttle, and yeah, that unfortunately is how the cookie crumbles. In this case, the sheet metal.
Yeah, and you can see that right front's already shaking after he got tank slapped into the safer barrier, and that's all she wrote.
He got forced wide by the 21 of Stephanie Gauthier, and that, I think, exacerbated the issue for Slider on corner exit. Getting forced wide by the 21 car, he was just trying to try and make up for that, crank the wheel and get back to power. But unfortunately, it culminates in this issue up the hill. This is the first time we've really seen this season, or one of the first times, a wheel just leaving a car and that car going straight on. We haven't seen that much.
I've never seen that. Just the second he hit the brakes, second that nose set down on the ground, there she went.
Back up front, 20 minutes to go, and a little bit of change. Kevin Parrish going fastest. He's in the draft wake of Fabian Zweyer, and for the first time, I think David Finch is going to have a pretty good shot at this race win. We haven't seen that much this season, but if these two get to battling, Finch is not far back, and I suspect these two will get to battling. It might take a little bit for them to come into their own, but as this race goes on, no Benjamin Roberts taking off ahead and winning, it seems like, every race we broadcast this season. These two have a moment to shine, and Zweyer is doing so.
Yeah, Zweyer is doing a really good job holding a nice line around a lot of these corners, but you can see Kevin Parrish right there. He's still in that, in that wake right there, being able to hang tough, and these long straightaways will play into the benefit as we take a look here at the GR86s. This is the battle for the second, third, and fourth place position. Love that Waffle House.
Oh, he's all over the place. That is Cooper Brownell, and he goes off the racetrack, losing some spots now, falling back to the fifth position behind Zach. Wow, Biddlingmeyer? That is one of the longest names I've seen. Biddlingmeyer in the 11 car, and Trevin Deese in the 23 car. McConnell still second. Sudik still your race leader in Toyotas. And all season long, we've been looking at Sudik's name on top of the scoring pylon in these Toyota class wins, class battles, because we haven't seen Jorge Dominic in these broadcasted time slots at all yet this season, but he has been able to put together enough points to still be ahead of Sudik. Here, let's bring up the points here. Jorge has 84 points over Nicholas Sudik, and I think Nick has won all but one or two races that we have covered on Monday nights. It's impressive that Jorge is that far ahead. Granted, these drop weeks might still tighten them up a little bit, but Nicholas has got to be absolutely perfect and find some really high I rating splits to get all the points he can.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's doing an amazing job right now. You can see just how much he's got a lead over everyone else as Fabian Zweyer goes purple, but Kevin Parrish matches it and goes faster as the fight for the lead up in the Mustangs has shrunk from about a 0.4 to a 0.5 of a second lead to just around 0.3 once they get onto the straightaways. And you can see just how close they are, almost bumper to bumper. And it looks like Parrish has a run going into the next corner. Taking a look.
He looks, and he's going to go. Oh, that's oh so close. He might have a better chance at Tosa. The hairpin at turn 7, I feel like, is a much better shot.
Yeah, he tried to pull a switchback there. He's taking a look around the outside. Player going defensive. Parrish puts a little bit more wheel into the corner just to try and see if he can cut underneath, but it looks like they're going to stay single file, separated by about 0.2. And my goodness, what a battle we've got going on the racetrack.
I'm surprised he forced it there into Villeneuve. Now you've got Brownell and Biddlingmeyer going to do the same. Biddlingmeyer staying ahead. Actually, so this is Todd Sack, actually. Hang on. Yes, Todd Sack on the approach. No, I've got these guys all messed up. Okay, Brownell was the car that we saw go off the racetrack a little bit ago. The Waffle House paint scheme. He is 4th. Behind him is Biddlingmeyer in the number 11. Now I've got them straightened out. That I don't know why that was so difficult for me, but I really like the red and white there on Biddlingmeyer's paint scheme, even if it's an iRacing default paint. That looks really nice. Up ahead, we've got ourselves a Renault fight, though. All 3 cars on top of each other. Gabriel and Selmy, the kind of odd man to what we've seen from most of the season. Austin Knight, Larry Love have joined us for most of these races in the Renault fight. Got ourselves a pretty good little race here.
Yeah, they may not have the biggest car count on the racetrack, but my God, they do have the closest battle for 3 cars on the racetrack, separated by only about 0.8 of a second between all 3 of these cars. And it's still about 0.2 to what it is to the leader. Austin Knight leading, and that's about what the lead is right now for the Mustangs.
And I'll be honest, Zach, these cars don't look like they're going that fast. When they get down to the end of the straightaway here and head into Tamburello, you will see, I mean, already speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. They are moving for these tiny little front-wheel drive cars. They don't look like they're going that fast, but they started to get some pretty big speed. 4 cylinders can do a whole lot of damage in a good way. I do want to mention, we haven't talked about the race details yet. It's about the same. Well, it is the same as it has been all season, with the exception of Nürburgring, where we ran 3 laps. It's a 25-minute race. All 4 classes that you see on track. Opens that up 1 fast repair that we've seen some drivers already have to use, and some fighting back here. A slow Toyota getting passed up by some of the Miatas. We don't have a battle for the Mazda lead. There we go. As Ray Lombardi is checked out. Actually, no. Even worse. Franco Buckley has checked out on Ray Lombardi, who is second. This is the fight for 4th. Matthew Best and Alex Theologis. They've got a decent little fight. Theologis trying to make the pass. That's into Tamburello. No opportunity there.
That's about the closest battle on track when it comes to the Mazdas. Everyone else just fairly spread out amongst the racetrack. It's not as close as it is compared to the Clios and to the Mustangs, but hey, fights on the track all the same, as Matthew Beast is still trying to see what he can do.
Kevin Parrish, just a few tenths back of Fabian Zweyer. 15 minutes to go. They head down the hill, down to Ravazza. This is such a fun corner, depending on the car you're in. Maybe not in the Clio. I think it'd be difficult in the Clio, but in the Mustang, it should be a lot of fun to try and get that big, old, beefy car around the more nimble final couple of corners on this racetrack. Kevin Parrish. If you're Kevin, Zach, I know you're not, but if you are, where do you try to make the move?
Honestly, corner entry. Whatever corner that is, able to present itself as a passing opportunity, take the entry. I know exit speed is very preferable to a lot of drivers, but I like to maximize corner entry. As you see, Kevin Parrish gets a way better run through there, and he is setting up for a good run going into the next corner. Is he going to take the look here, Andrew? I think he will.
Looks into Villeneuve once again. He's on the inside properly. 2 cars side by side of the overall race lead. Zweyer inside, Parrish outside, but what's in becomes out for Tosa up here at the hairpin for turn number 7. And Kevin Parrish does not relent. He noses ahead of car number 2, that time through turn 7, and takes the race lead away for the first time in today's 25-minute affair. And it's worth mentioning, this is race number 3 for these guys for the whole week. They get one every hour, so race number 3 means the 3rd one since the week changed over. They might have a couple of races under their belts already, and it looks like it is these two are oh so close.
Yeah, Zweyer is not leaving without a fight. He is still bringing it to Kevin Parrish as they work their way through the next couple of corners. You can see Kevin Parrish is getting a little bit better of an exit here. It's going to allow him to walk a little down the straightaway, but there's a lot more corners coming up, a lot more of an advantage, as they are still miles ahead, really, of the 3rd place car. So I think these two are going to try to battle it out as much as they can, per any incidents off track, hopefully. One thing I always think about when I'm racing on the road is definitely try to avoid the off tracks.
Zweyer in behind, Parrish, they head down the hill. You see the noses drop as they get on the brakes. And the Aerokinetics driver, I think, will stay ahead here. So Kevin Parrish has the race lead. They'll head down this long front stretch. Zweyer, of course, will have a drafting opportunity. We'll catch back up with them as up ahead we've got Knight and Selmy and Love heading through Variante Alta. Another fun little piece of racetrack. Nicholas Sudik has the Toyota race lead. And really, there isn't a whole lot other drama around the racetrack. This is your best fight right now. This is the overall lead. Zweyer on the outside into Tamburello.
Yeah, side by side once again. It looks like, oh so close through Tamburello, and they're going to stay side by side, nose to nose, going through the next corner, but it looks like Kevin Parrish will clear. He's going to hold the defensive line going into the next corner. Oh, look at how close they get together.
Parrish gonna hang on just barely as they head through Villeneuve up to Tosa this time, and this was the corner that gave Parrish the race lead a lap ago. This time around, though, not side by side, nothing that Zweyer can do about it. He's gonna have to wait his turn to get an opportunity for the race lead once again. Behind these guys, side by side fight in Renaults as they head through Villeneuve, it looks like, up to Tosa, or was that? It was actually Tamburello. Now they go to Villeneuve. They've still got a fun little fast chicane right here. Austin Knight inside, and the 19 car of Anselmi outside, and they get that sorted out quickly. Back single file they go.
Is there ever a time that you could ever say that the whole field was almost completely next to each other going down a straightaway? They almost went 3 wide for a second, trying to race for the lead, but it looks like Austin Knight's going to hang on to it.
Meanwhile, for the Mac, Traven Deese has been passed up by Cooper Brownell, so that Waffle House Mustang, they got lost in the butter and syrup. Mustang. Toyota, they got lost in the butter and syrup. I had a line and forgot what car we were talking about for a second, but the Waffle House Toyota of Cooper Brownell back up to 3rd place as he tries to chase down Daniel McConnell. And also, David Fernandez going by Nicholas Sudik is going to hold up the 3 car for just a moment. That is your Toyota race leader. A new lap, it looks like, beginning here in just a moment for our Mustangs, and Zweyer has fallen back a little bit further than he was a lap ago. You think that'll help or hurt him in the draft?
Actually, not quite sure. You would think that being a little bit further back, you're able to drive it into the corner a little deeper, kind of how you would if there wasn't really a car in front of you. You've got that space to be able to, work with that wiggle room, and it looks like Kevin Parrish is going to stay on the defensive line and force Zweyer outside. He's going to have to cut it in a lot harder, but it looks like Parrish got a bad run through the exit, and Zweyer is going to set himself up just like Parrish did not a few laps ago.
Zweyer now going to be left side into Villeneuve. That's going to put him on the inside for Tosa if he can just hang. That's how Parrish took the race lead. Parrish, though, almost forces him out. Zweyer still on the inside as we head up to turn number 7. That's how Parrish got it done a few laps ago. Zweyer inside, and that is going to change these two back around. But Zweyer's not clear yet. He's going to have the inside line, though, the better line, as they head up the hill to Piratella. But this is not case closed.
Not in the slightest. Still side by side going through the corner. Give the nose there to Parrish, and I think he might be able to clear if he can get a good enough run, but going into the next braking zone, yes, he's going to stay clear. Zweyer is going to fall in line once again, and Finch is just sitting back there saying, fight more, fight more. He's closed 7/10 on these leaders right there in front of him.
Yeah, he is closing in. He needs these two to continue on as they are. At least as they were, side by side, rather, not as they are now. He needs these two fighting a little bit more, and I think they will continue to fight. This has been the best Mustang fight we've seen this season for a race win. I love Benjamin Roberts, but I really am enjoying this battle in his absence. I'm glad we'll have him back at Oran Park, his home race next week. But this is some really good racing between these two. They've been 2nd and 3rd all season long, or most of the season anyways, and they haven't battled all that spiritedly, it seemed. Today, it's for a race win. Things have changed.
Only about 9 minutes to go as they come around and take the next lap, and Zweyer is doing everything he can to see where he can make his move, find another way around Kevin Parrish. As
Here he comes.
He is right there. Parrish goes defensive once again into the braking zone. Honestly, Andrew, I think he's braking a little early to kind of help be a little more defensive.
Oh, Zweyer got loose on the exit of Tamburello. Wow, hangs on to it. That was a really good catch, and David Finch continues to close in on these guys. Lap traffic up ahead, as you might have heard in the camera foreground there. But through Villeneuve, you've got an opportunity if you're Zweyer there. He didn't make it work that time, but if he can... Oh, that was deep into Tosa. If you can set up Villeneuve just right to get a run on exit, it's going to be tough when you're not side by side, but if you can do it, you can set yourself up for a move into Tosa, and I think it's going to be all that much more beneficial to send it up the inside at that point as opposed to being side by side into the corner. That compromises your entry going into that braking zone. We'll see what he can work up as they head into Aqua Minerale. But for right now, I think Zweyer is kind of trying to toy with his meal, if you will, like a cat playing with its kill. He's just trying to find a way by. Cooper Brownell, well, got lost in the bacon this time. That's not it.
Looks like no damage on the car, though. I think he's going to be able to continue on as he is. It's
very slowly.
Yeah, very, very slowly. He might just be nursing those tires back into temperature and trying to keep himself in a good position. Definitely now has some work to do. He's got a few Mazdas coming up on his tail.
And that was exiting the Tamburello chicane. Meanwhile, Fernando's starting to work through the back end of the Renaults. And really, nothing is changing in the Toyotas. This is the most spread apart we've seen the Toyota field all season. Matthew Best is working now on Alex Theologis. They have swapped positions for 4th and 5th in Mazdas. But the battle remains up front. Fabian Zweyer trying to catch up to Kevin Parrish, and David Fench just 2 seconds back. Fench is not out of this by any means.
Absolutely not, but he's going to need these drivers up here to fight a little bit more. I think overall on pace, Kevin Parrish and Fabian Zweyer have been miles faster than Fench, and it's definitely showing as Parrish gets a bad exit right there through Villeneuve once again, and Zweyer is going to try to take a look up the inside as there's lap traffic up ahead.
Into Villeneuve now. Zweyer up the inside, backs out. Might have the exit here. Perfect move. Can he get the job done? He's now on the outside for Tosa. Great plan. Great execution. It just didn't quite work out. He is on the outside, though. Maybe for Piratella. No. And yeah, that's going to fizzle out, unfortunately. He might still be on the outside for Piratella, but then it's the outside. I don't think this will go very far.
Yeah, but he's going to be able to have a better ability to take apex. Look here, gets the inside. Kevin Parrish runs a little wide. Now they're side by side once again for the lead. Fench sitting in the background, waiting, seeing what he can do as Kevin Parrish once again heads back to the point, but Zweyer with another run on corner exit.
Color me surprised. Suddenly, Zweyer has got the best corner exit of anybody on the racetrack. Parrish going to be on the inside for the first apex here. That's going to get back single file for these two. And now, as they exit the Alta, we've got ourselves a 3-car fight with a Mazda rather up ahead. That should be Gary Schalick in the number 25. This is going to get all that much more interesting. And now Fench is closer to Zweyer than Zweyer is to Parrish.
Yeah, this is definitely turning into one heck of a fight as we've only got 5 minutes left on the clock. The lap traffic, I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor as they're coming up onto the front stretch here. And one thing that I said earlier that I don't know if you feel the same way, do you think that Kevin Parrish has been running a defensive line into turn 1 and braking early on purpose to keep that spot, knowing that he might be able to set himself up for a better exit?
Probably. I mean, that's road racing at its finest. Slow in, fast out. And really not even just road racing. That's oval racing, too, depending on the racetrack. And a little sideways there, though. Parrish goes through Tamburello. Up to Villeneuve. This has been the most interesting corner on the racetrack, I feel like, or I guess beginning of interesting sections. I wouldn't expect it to be that, but it's so fast on entry and then such a fine line on exit. It's created some variation, and it sets up for good moments into Tosa. This lap, though, they stay single file. Watch that the next time around as we have 2 laps to go when we come back around to the start-finish line.
Fench is still sitting in the background right there. He's lost a little bit of a gap up to Zweyer, who is gaining on Kevin Parrish once again. But I do think that he's still in it, Andrew. I think that any one of these 3 cars can win this race. If Zweyer and Parrish get into it a little bit, that opens the door for Fench to swing on in, take that line away, and be able to take the lead, as they are still so close racing for this lead.
This race is far from over between these 3. Fench is still in a great spot, so long as he doesn't do that. He got a little free there on exit out of Aqua Minerale. Now, is Zweyer maybe going to look into Alta? No, he stays back, but he's just he's just getting closer and closer in the mirror, and that's what you want to do in second place.
Yeah, just want to put some pressure on the leader, force them into a mistake. It's not, like you said earlier, it's not even just in road racing, it's oval racing too. Force that leader to make a mistake, put some pressure on him, run your line, but be aggressive, be intimidating, to put it lightly.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
My goodness. In any case, though, looks like we are, this should be 2 to go if I'm not mistaken.
2 laps to go, this time by the flag stand. No fancy flag for it. There should be a fancy flag or something for 2 laps to go. Pick a color, any color. Turquoise, I don't know. I know you get popsicle sticks, but in road racing, well, and I don't think you do it in road racing. We also don't get it on iRacing. So if you had a special flag, we would get it in iRacing. Anyways, down into the braking zone for Tamburello. 2 laps to go, and these 2 are kind of setting back up. They've driven back away from David Finch. The more they run single file, the less they have to worry about third. At worst, then, they'll finish first or second, and that's not so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that Zweyer was setting up. He's getting, like you said, Andrew, he's been getting really good corner exits lately, being able to set that car in a good position. As Parrish goes defensive once again, do we see a switchback, a better run by Zweyer? I don't think so. Actually, no, he does actually get a bit of a better run here on Kevin Parrish going down the straightaway.
Zweyer, I think, cooling his tires down with 2 laps to go. Any move he makes this lap, Parrish should be able to do the next lap. If you wait until the last lap, you have a little less practice at trying to make the pass, but there's less opportunity for Parrish to come back at you. If I'm Zweyer, I'm going to wait this lap. Just stay in behind, keep pressuring Parrish, maybe into a mistake, and then go on by. Right now, I think Fabian Zweyer doing everything he needs to. Now, back to the Renaults, out of Tamburello and down to Villeneuve. They're so far behind the Mustangs, I can never tell exactly where they are for a moment. But this is the only other battle really on the racetrack, other than the leaders.
Yeah, Love has fallen back down into third, but Austin Knight continues to lead. These cars separated just about evenly, about 0.3 of a gap between all 3 of them. And, you know, here they are coming through the last couple of corners, Andrew. These Mustangs, do we see, we talked about a little bit of oval-style racing. Do we see maybe even a bump and run from Zweyer as they come around and take the white?
These two have been so respectful. I don't think so. They have been great around each other all season long. Zweyer, though, this is about the closest he's been at the start-finish line all race long, at least while he's been trying to pass Kevin Parrish back for the race lead. That is white flag, 1 lap to go at the flag stand, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams, side by side into the braking zone at Tamburello. Outside is Zweyer. He's going to have the inside there at the second apex, and now back on the outside for the third, and Parrish gets back by. This battle, though, is far from over.
Yeah, Zweyer popped the turtle curve just a little bit, and it compromised his exit, but they are still very, very close to each other. Kevin Parrish.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about...
Zweyer went in at a weird, awkward spot and backed himself up through Villeneuve. Now further back through Tosa than I think he's been in this fight all race long. There is an MX-5 ahead. I believe that is Eduardo Garcia. Let's see if that plays into this at all as our Renaults take the white flag as well.
It seems like they've gotten a little more spread out now. Austin Knight stretches out to a 0.5 of a second lead. Here you see Sudik for the GR86s taking the white flag as well for his class, leading by quite a fine margin, almost 5 seconds.
And here is your Mazda race leader, Franco Sanchez Buckley. Several seconds ahead of Ray Lombardi, 5 seconds in fact. Up ahead, white flag racing for our Mustangs into Alta for the final time. The Aerokinetics Mustang ahead, backed up though behind the Mazda of Garcia. That's going to open the door potentially to Zweyer down into Ravazza. We've got ourselves a fight, ladies and gents, into the final couple of quarters. The Imola, Parrish moves over, cuts the draft into Ravazza, the oh so awkward braking zone. Zweyer not able to do anything there. Into the corner. Can he try to get him on exit? The answer is no. And Kevin Parrish will walk out of Imola with a top split broadcast time slot race victory. Finally, a long time coming. I think he might have got one earlier this season. Finally, back to victory lane for Kevin Parrish.
A little bit of a run to the line here. Zweyer trying to mount a charge, but it's not going to be enough. Absolutely amazing race between all of them. We got one Mazda here stopping on the front stretch.
That was Garcia, the lapped car. He crosses our finish line, immediately stopped. Here, though, are your Renaults, Zach. 3 cars in a fight. What do they do down in Ravazza?
Oh no, Andrew, they're still separated by about 0.3 of a second to Austin Knight. I think Austin Knight's going to be able to walk away with this win. He's been leading from flag to flag. I think the fight's really just for second.
Larry Love back here in third. And Selmy goes defensive. Love going to try and give it a shot. Maybe the second apex. They stay single file. And no change of position between these 3. Austin Knight, welcome back to Victory Lane in Production Car Challenge on the Pit Stop TV broadcast. It's been a little while, but the Racing Forces Renault Clio comes around the last bend of the front stretch and will take the checkered flag today. Down in Toyotas, how about Nicholas Sudik? He leads down the front stretch, and sure enough, that bright yellow number 3 car will take another win. For the back, Franco Sanchez Buckley with that black front bumper on his red Mazda He'll come around this front stretch oh so slowly and take himself a race win. The next fight, the only fight remaining really, is back here. Matthew Best, Michael Carpenter, and even it looks like Alex Theologus. 3 cars in the last couple of quarters through Avatsa. No real movement, but hey, they're close in the racetrack at the very least. They gave it their all, but they've all come across single file.
Absolutely, just amazing racing throughout the entirety of the field tonight. You can see them here taking the checkered flag. Very close together, but Andrew, that was one heck of a race that we got to witness here from the booth.
That it was. These two out front, Kevin Parrish, Fabian Zweyer, they come around and already have their cooldown lap completed. But what a race from Kevin Parrish in particular. When he made that move on Fabian Zweyer, Zweyer simply couldn't do anything to get back by. Great racing between these two. I hate it for Fabian. Finally had a really good chance at a race win. Couldn't quite do it this evening. Kevin Bessim in Italy, and burning it down as the Aerokinetics driver. He's deserving of this one for sure. He won most recently in the Barber Ford Mustang Club at Brands Hatch. Back in Victory Lane on Pit.tv, doing it here in Production Car Challenge, brought to you by Barber Ford, but in Italy at Imola. Putting himself in some pretty good form for the back end of the season here. I don't know if it's going to help him that much for the championship, but hey, it'll help him some more as he's already clinched the championship in the Barber Ford Mustang Club. Last round for them is Lime Rock. Let's take a look back at your unofficial race results, Zach. Top 10 on your screen.
Kevin Parrish and Fabian Zweyer, definitely one of the best fights on the racetrack all race. Only separated at the line by about 0.2 of a second, and David Finch ended up losing a little bit there at the end of the race. Still brings it home third. As you see, the remainder of the Mustangs, Stephanie, I'm going to mispronounce these names.
Stephanie.
Well, the
Stephanie
last
Gautier.
name. There we go.
That's what I went with.
I'm working at a French restaurant now. I should be able to pronounce unique names. But David Fernandez brings it home in the 5th position. Top 5, all dominated by the Mustangs, as you would assume. And then Austin Knight is going to bring it home for the win in the Renault Clio, but 6th overall on the racetrack. Gabriel and Larry Love, Gabriel and Selmy, I really feel like I'm pronouncing that, but they're going to bring it home as the last 2 positions in the Renault Clio. And then Nicholas Sudik and Daniel McConnell is top 2 for the Toyota 86s, but they are your last 2 finishers inside of the top 10 overall.
A look at some of the rest of the field, 11th through 20th. Some notables be Cam Porter back there in 15th, ends up coming across the line just behind Todd Sack. Sack ends up going 5th in Toyotas, but 12th overall is your Mazda race winner, Franco Sanchez Buckley. For the back, some other notables, Alex Theologus, Matthew Best, Michael Carpenter, they were in that fight across the line in Mazdas, and then a few stragglers at the back end. Really, the pain goes out to guys like Darren Kilby, even Isabel Stevens, but then also Dustin Slider, especially for that lap 1 incident. Austin Payne back there, I don't think took the green... Might have, but Eli Scarborough, it looks like, did not take the green flag in car number 24. Unfortunate endings for many drivers at the back end, especially Dustin Slider, but that's the way it goes sometimes. That's the way the, how did I put it earlier? Cookie crumbles, but also sheet metal. That's the way the sheet metal crumples, if you will. I'm gonna have to start using that one, but victory lane for the Aerokinetics machine of Kevin Parrish. Waiting to see if he joins us, and he will. Zach, would you like the honor of speaking with our race winner today?
Absolutely. He put on an amazing show for us tonight, and he was able to really run away with this win. Not too far out in front, though. Kevin Parrish, your winner here tonight. Kevin, tell us, how did that race feel for you? You guys were fighting tooth and nail all race.
I mean, we just wanted to put on a show for the fans. I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
Can't complain about that one. You guys did an outstanding job with your racing tonight. You only led about 8 laps out of the 14 completed, which is more than half, but you still were able to put on quite a show. You really weren't able to run away with it too far out in front. You still had Fabian Zweyer right there behind you. How were you able to manage the gap back to him? Were you being able to take defensive lines into some corners, or do you think you were just able to hang on to your tires a lot better?
Yeah, I think that one came down to racecraft. The long front straight at high speeds really keeps the racing close, but luckily you have the opportunity to take a nice defensive line into T1, and then it's elbows out and racecraft throughout the rest of the track.
Absolutely. The respect between the two of you that we saw tonight was definitely outstanding to watch, and we commented on it quite a few times. I actually thought that one of you guys was going to give each other the bump and run to be able to steal this win away. But one question that I do have for you before you hop out of the booth with us tonight is I noticed going into turn 1 mainly that you were taking quite a defensive line, and I even commented with Andrew on this. Were you taking a bit of an earlier braking zone going into T1 to be able to keep that defensive line and force Fabian to kind of try to find a different way around you to get that lead back?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that was a strategy play each time, knowing he'd have that momentum coming in there. And less about wanting to put him on the outside and more just about protecting my inside, so picked my position and let him make his move around me.
Well, you did a great job here tonight, and we really appreciate the clean racing that we saw between the two of you tonight, able to put on a great show for the fans, and we really hope to see you next week.
Oh, I'll be there.
Well, Andrew, that is your race winner, Kevin Parrish, and I believe we have more drivers to be able to talk to tonight.
Yeah, Parrish, the only Mustang driver we have to talk to. How about your race winner in Renault's, Austin Knight? You bested 2 other drivers, and, ordinarily, that might not sound like that great of an achievement, Austin, but when you have Anselmi and Love right on the back end of you all race long, you guys swapped spots, swapped the lead back and forth a few times, I'm sure that worked up a sweat.
Yeah, I would say I was a bit sweaty at sometimes. It was a lot of fun. There were some mistakes here and there from all of us, but it was a lot of fun. At one point, I did gain a 1.2 second lead until a very small incident with a Mustang getting back their spot. They just got loose in front of me, and that 1.2 second gap went back down to 1/10. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to earn it, and I just hit my marks, kept my eyes forward, and just enjoyed all of it.
Well, congratulations, another race win for you. I know you're not so much concerned about the points, as I think you dip your toes into every car, I'm sure, a little bit throughout the week. But this has to feel like a pretty successful season as a whole. Tonight, I think we had our best Mustang fight. Last week, we had some really good fights through the entire field. It seems like every week, things get better and better. Maybe a quieter race tonight through the rest of the field, but still, everything just keeps ramping up, and as a community representative, as kind of the community representative, it's got to feel like an overall success as we head into the waning stages.
It absolutely does, and yeah, that's kind of how I look at PCC now. Instead of, I want to do good each week and week out, I just want to see people racing and having a lot of fun. Last week was the most successful week ever in PCC modern history, so where all the current 4 cars are, that was the most participated race. So that was a lot of fun to see that. But yeah, I started a new full-time job. I can't get onto the track as much as I would like to, because if I get the opportunity, I'm racing every single race all day long, because I just love this series. I love every single car in this series. Some a little bit more than the others, Cleo. And but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I just love the series, and I like to see everybody else having a good time in this series.
I think everybody has had a great time, especially these broadcasted time slots. It has been a pleasure, Austin. Thanks for the teamwork as far as making the broadcast and everything happen this season. I know this was kind of last minute thrown together thanks to Barbara Ford and Dustin Slider, but it has been a pleasure working with you and everybody else at the series. One more week to go. Do you have any expectations for Oran Park?
Aussie Chaos, the broadcast might be upside down. I don't know. You might have to do something about that. But I'm not in the production now. But yeah, I'm gonna have a lot. Oran Park's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a bit tight. Track lapping or just class racing might get a little bit crazy. But hey, it's PCC, baby. That's kind of what you expect of this. Craziness and a lot of smiles.
A lot of smiles
and
tonight.
Me messing up where the location of West Virginia is.
I saw something about that, and I will echo what was said. Summit Point is definitely in West Virginia. Only by about 500 feet, but it's definitely in West Virginia.
That's how I got confused.
Fair enough. It's right on the border. But Austin, congratulations. Another race win and another successful season, I'd say, for PCC as we come to a close here in the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And to Dustin, I have to say this. You chose a nice time to leave me loose, Will.
Oh, no.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
going to leave Lucille out of this, but congratulations, Austin. We'll talk to you next week at Oran Park.
All right. See ya. Y'all have a good night.
You as well. Austin Knight, position number 1 or number 6, however you want to look at it. How about Nicholas Sudik, our 9th place finisher overall, Zach, but our Toyota GR86 Cup winner. And we've talked to him a lot this season, but I'll pass off the wonderful honors of speaking to our Toyota race winner to you.
Yeah, Nicholas Sudik bringing it home in a dominating fashion in the Toyota 86 is not too much to talk about in terms of on-track fights, because you definitely had a huge lead to your second place car, but definitely a great race to come away from and a solid points day for you.
Yeah. You know, I looked at the points, great points, but it's not enough to take over for what my low score is right now. But you know what that means? That just you gotta keep grinding, just keep eating away, do a couple more races during the week, check out who's running. It's kind of the beauty of this competition, you know. It puts up a fair fight because it's so popular that you do have to get a little lucky with the strength of field numbers at times. But either way, I mean, just beating McConnell, you know, always means a lot. He's a great competitor. I know he wants to beat me really bad. I heard him a couple weeks ago talking about how he really likes the challenge with driving and learning from me. So, you know, big props to him for keeping it with me for so long. But we got to about 4 to go, and you know, I was doing a little bit of gap management, but then I felt my right sides, like, honest to God, my right side tires felt like they were losing even more heat. So I was like, I think it's hammer time now. And yeah, so we pushed and got a couple 204s out of it. You know, the Team Watson Racing setups machine, we got a great setup as always from your boy here. That's available to check out on the website, teamwatsonracingsetups.com. Also, I'm always helpful if you ever need to hit me up. You know, I love helping this community out in any way I can. Obviously when I have the energy. So, but yeah, no, I felt great. The car felt fantastic. Being able to push that gap to 5, almost 6 seconds towards the end there was monumental, and it's great momentum going forward into the rest of the races this week, and onto the final week at Oran Park. I'd love to bring home one more dub.
Absolutely. You did a great job here tonight. Final question, really, before we hop out of here for the rest of the night. Do you think, in your honest opinion, do you think you still have a shot at this championship? If you could hop into another couple of high split races, get a few more wins, and, you know, knock those the points gap down, do you think you still have a shot at this championship this week?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, Jorge has, I mean, the EU split is so challenging. They got a lot more higher IA rating people, especially in the GR class, than North America has. We have talented drivers, just don't have the IR. Skill doesn't necessarily translate to your number in I rating. So, you know, I got to chop off like 70 some points still. But if I can get a good strength of field race later this week, especially on the weekend with the holiday coming up, a lot of people are going to be home. I have a lot of work to do because I'm a retail worker. So hug your local retail worker this weekend, please. You know, send them chocolate, coffee, what have you. Monster rehabs for me. But just keep it going, and anything's possible. But I said it like last week or 2 weeks ago. In a championship, in a competition where you have 13,000 entries during just a 12-week season, just becoming on the overall podium, that's a freaking win. Like, I will gladly take it. That's what I've been shooting for a couple seasons, and I've been, thankfully, with this NA broadcast, we've actually been able to bring the heat and get that strength of field race to a more consistent basis. From most of the classes here, not just 8-6. So we keep fighting, you know, we keep pushing for the folks in the garage and in the paddock and everything, you know, as Lewis would say. And we'll keep going, and we're not going to quit until the season's over.
Well, you did a great job here tonight. Hopefully the win will take away from the Black Friday blues of working in retail. But hey, congratulations once again on your win here tonight.
Thank you very much, y'all. Appreciate it.
And that was Nicholas Sudik, your GR86 winner for tonight. And Andrew, I'm going to follow up with Austin here. I actually did not know that Summit Point was in West Virginia.
It is. You know what? If you would have been in the broadcast last week, who could have told you?
Well,
I think I got him, guys. But hey, we've got Dustin Slider waiting for us in the broadcast waiting room. We haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. I think the last time we talked to him was at the back end of the most recent Barber Ford Mustang Club round at Brands Hatch. But Dustin, a not so great race for you this evening. What happened there early?
Well, so I was just actually talking to Kevin and Austin there. I've got a tendency to to chase the carrot better than I am at consistently pacing. And I can run a wide car. I know I can play defense. So when I had the opportunity early, I need to grab as many spots as I could. And I got in front of, I thought I had a shot at taking over David Fernandez. And I just got on it, lost it, tried to gather it up, and then got in the way of those guys. I feel awful for him. I think Fernandez would have been in the hunt, and I ruined his race. So not only his race, my race, but it is what it is. And again, David, I'm sorry. Not my fault, but sorry for putting you in that spot and ruining your race.
Hey, that happens from time to time. I think the bigger picture, though, is that this has been a very successful season of broadcasting these time slots for a production card challenge, and something that I don't think anybody ever expected for this particular series has gone really, really well. And it has that Barber Ford name attached to it. That's got to feel pretty darn good. Just like when I was talking to Austin about how successful this season has gone, that's got to feel like a big success to you as well.
Yeah, I'm super happy with it. I think that the participation is fantastic. The cars, the tracks are great. I wish there was another Ford, or the new Dark Horse would come out, or GTD, where we could run that. Because I'm married to the Ford. But this season has been great. Mustang Club participation has been great. It's been fun to watch. In fact, as much as I wanted to sell my rig and quit everything, I sat here and watched the race between was it Zweer and Parrish there for the rest of the race, because they put on one hell of a show. The Clios did as well. Didn't see much of the Mazdas or the 86s, but those come and go, right? I mean, sometimes the Mazdas are better racing than what the Mustangs got going on, but it was great show, and you guys did a great job in the booth there. Appreciate you, Andrew, and Zach for climbing in here and taking time out of your day to broadcast this race.
It was a pleasure as always, Dustin. Thanks for having us here. And hey, how about that new commercial that we've got added into the broadcast? Some new details going into the holiday season from Barber Ford about how you can put yourself in a brand new or used Ford up in Holland, Michigan.
Oh yeah, there's 2.0. Well, actually, so let's start from scratch. All you got to do is join Barber Ford Mustang Club in the iRacing leagues. League ID is 3350. That gets you 2.9% APR for 72 months on a new F-150. Plus, Barber Ford's willing to match X-Plan pricing, which is supplier pricing. There's 0% for 36 months on Edge, and I think 0.9% for 36 on Escape. And I actually worked up a purchase deal on for retail on an Edge the other day, coming out of Ford Courtesy Transportation Program, FCTP. There's gonna be a few miles on it, but you could purchase an Edge finance it for 84 months, and your payment would be $546 sign and drive, no money down, which is stupid. Those are lease payments we're talking about nowadays.
That's pretty crazy. Those are some pretty big numbers to take in. And if I were in the market for a brand new car, I'd be going up to Holland, Michigan. I don't know how I'd get there just yet, but Dustin, thank you for the details. Well,
that being said, so on a used car, we do $500 on pre-owned. I would actually use that $500, or you could use that $500 to apply towards transportation or a flight up here to Michigan, and you can drive your car back home.
Well, there you go. If you are in the market, check out Barber Ford and get in contact with Dustin Slider direct. Dustin, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in the race, even if it was short-lived up to turn 7, or I guess technically to Piratella at turn 9. It happens. That's racing for you sometimes. It was good to have you in the field. Hopefully we'll see you next week at Oran Park.
That's right. I appreciate you, Andrew. Thank you, Zach. We'll see you next week.
There you go, Dustin Slider. I think the racing he saw, Zach, won him back over by the end of the broadcast. And that is a pretty cool thing. I've never heard that kind of outlook, but that is pretty cool. The racing between Kevin and Fabian won him back over. How about that? It was really good racing between those two. That's a pretty cool story. Before we go, a big shout out to our partners, of course. Barber Ford, a big involvement here with us this season, but also Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business. Zach, we have some pretty cool shows coming up before the end of the week. Well, actually, we're off. No, we have... See, this is why I have a graphic for you, because I sometimes can't go off memory. Here we go. Tomorrow evening, out to Japan at Tsukuba Circuit, we have some racing left here in the week of Thanksgiving 2023. Really cool racing. Street stocks at Tsukuba Circuit. One of the weirdest but most fun combinations I think you could ever dream up. The LMS Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks, brought to you by Elevator Performance, heads out there tomorrow night. Then we wrap back into a new week. We've got Oran Park on Monday for this Production Card Challenge finale, and then out to Oxford with those same Lucky Motorsport Street Stocks next Tuesday. And then, Zach, guess what comes up on Thursday, November 30th? Pop quiz.
I'm terrible at pop quizzes.
It's the North American Racing League. They can come back here. They were off. Yeah, they were off throughout the summer. I think their last season ended right around July 4th with Porsche Cup cars. We've got GT3 cars coming back to Pit Stop TV. It is oh so exciting. That GT3 platform is really one that is oh so special. And what's interesting, and I'm only just realizing, I'll have to get with Scott Reister about, is we've got the new Audi Evo coming to join that class. So the Ferrari, the Ferrari 296 just recently joined the ranks. The new Porsche 911, I guess 992 technically, has recently been added. We've of course recently also gotten the newer Mercedes AMG GT3. I'm trying to think of what else. The Lamborghini is still relatively new.
McLaren?
No, the McLaren is ages old. The McLaren and Ford are some of the oldest cars on the sim, along with the current Audi. So when we get the Audi replaced, that'll be a much needed change. The BMW is relatively new as well. But that, I think, takes you through all 8, right? You've got the Ford. The Ford is old. The McLaren is old. The Audi is old. That's 3. The BMW is new. The Lamborghini is new. That's 5. The Mercedes, the Ferrari, and the Porsche are the 3 newest, I believe, in the class. That makes 8. The Ford will, I think, be usable for the series. It'll be a little bit off pace, I think, just because it's so old. But, you know, Dustin was just talking about it. There is a Ford Mustang GTD on the way to IMSA, I believe, next year or the year after. The new Dark Horse will be joining their ranks along with the NASCAR Cup Series. The Dark Horse is becoming a pretty big deal, which should be very, very interesting to see. It's kind of taking the place, I feel like, of the GT500 of the past, or even GT350. So that's pretty cool to see a new, I guess, naming. What's the word? I guess, whatever, for Ford Mustangs. But anyways, we'll get this wrapped up. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is what's coming up the rest of this week and next week at Pit Stop TV. Zach, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure as always. A big shout out to the partners at the bottom of the screen. In audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That will do it for us from Imola. We'll see you all next time. Have a good night.
If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.